Today I'm watercolor painting and I'm going to show you my process. First we have our setup, we have the paper, and if you can't already see, there's a very faint sketch that I've done on the paper. I promise it's there. Here I have my water brush. It's just a hollow brush that you can put water inside so that you can use it when you're painting. We also have a regular brush inside of a glass. Here I have my swatch paper so I know what the colors look like when they're dry, and I have the container that it comes in with the paint inside. I'm just taking everything out right now. Then I'm wetting my brush and I am mixing it into the paint, it being the water. So here I'm just going to get started. My idea for this piece is a monochromatic green forest scene. I looked up a couple references for different composition layouts, and I think I went with the rule of thirds for this piece and tried to center it as best as I could when I was sketching. You can also see that I'm grabbing some water here and there to make the part I'm working on wet before I add more paint. That way it runs better, and when I add other colors later, it's easier to blend them together so it looks more natural instead of chunky or blocky. I do kind of have a lot of water on this piece already though. Here I'm just taking a moment to reconsider all of the choices I've ever made in my life, but mostly if the piece is turning out how I want it to. I forgot one very important tool, a paper towel or tissue. You can just use it to dab off any excess water that might accumulate and take away excess paint that is not dry yet. Now I'm using the water brush with just plain water inside of it to wet what's already painted because I'm about to add a darker color for shadow and I want it to bleed together. Though in hindsight, I think there's already too much water on this page. I don't know if I would do that again. Now I'm adding a dark green to add shadow and depth. Now I'm taking off the dark green because I didn't like that shade. I thought it was too blue-green instead of being yellow-green like the first color I started with, so I switched. Here is the second color, the green that I chose instead, and I do think it works much better with the piece that I was trying to make. Just running it along the shadow line, trying to imagine a little bit where the light might be coming from, but I also want to add depth to the branch itself to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. We have a few water droplets showing up, and on the right hand side there will be a spill, but I think that's okay. I'm still getting used to watercolor. I was getting impatient, waiting for it to dry, so I started fanning the page. Now I am taking the water brush again with plain water to wet the background parts, just the white pieces of the page above and below the branch that I just painted out. And I wanted to make this part of the piece a little bit more abstract so that it looked like almost a distant forest scene that was blurry. So if you're thinking of a camera with lens flares or just blurs because it's too far away, I wanted to try and mimic that with vertical brush strokes and have the differences in saturation and opacity kind of work together in order to communicate that effect. I do think it looks okay, but mostly I thought it was very fun to paint. I tried doing my best not to overcrowd the background and leave white spaces so that you could still see the individual strokes and it wasn't just a blob of green ombre, especially considering it was all still pretty wet. Here I added a super dark green sparingly for extra contrast. Do let me know if you would like to see more of the process or less. Does this bite-sized recap work for you guys? Well, that is the finished painting piece. Now it's time to do the line art. Please enjoy a time lapse of me doing a bulk of the line art. I ended up adding extra line art after I finished recording this, so here is the final piece. Thank you for watching. Bye!